Dharmendra, so please unmute your.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Ankur, and thank you very much, Dr. Sandeep Bhatt and Sardar Patel University to give us this opportunity to talk to you. And all good morning, all the participants. So today we are going to discuss. See, in recent time there was a lot of focus because of social distancing norms in all around the globe. So there was a two concept has been generated. One is a working from home. So it given the concept of virtual office. So there is another thought process is going on how to get benefited from virtual offices and reorganize the organization for distance working. And in the same way, there was a focus on distance learning. Traditionally, we have distance learning existing all over the world. But during this time, we have realized the real potential of distance learning or to use the technology to make it a virtual education and a meaningful education. So we have agenda of today's discussion. So we'll focus on more on what is actually the virtual education. It is not just distance education or just giving a video recorded lecture. That is what has happened in last 2-3 months because students cannot able to attend the college. So as an alternative, there was some video lectures to cover the syllabus. But virtual education is much more than that, and we'll deep dive into the what exactly virtual education components and how we can make it meaningful with the comparable with the full-time education. So we discuss what are the theories of virtual education. There is a synchronous learning system, asynchronous learning system, and how the institutions or university or colleges can make a strategy to make it a meaningful virtual education. And then we'll move to the technology part, which are supporting this virtual education like a learning management system and futurist technology, virtual reality, augmented reality, and immersive virtual reality. So what are the benefits of diverting into virtual education? Because we already have so many colleges and so many students are learning at full-time colleges. So India, for example, India is a very large country. So students are very much dependent to travel to the large cities like Mumbai, Ahmedabad to get a better quality education. So with the means of virtual education, we can reach out to the vast geographical location to give the same quality education to their native place. And there is another segment of the student due to their family reason or they have not secured so much percentage grade, they could not able to get admission into good college and they want to continue their education. Many people want to continue education to upskill them, to get the certified, to get a better job opportunities, to get a promotion. There is another segment of the student. And it's a very good opportunity for the institution or universities to generate additional revenues. Once you plan virtual education, you have got your student intake will be more. Because if you have physical setup, there will be limitation. Okay, you have got intake of only 400 students, 600 students. But once you are in virtual education mode, you have got the students all over the India or all around the globe can be associated with your institution. And there is definitely it's an additional revenue generation which can be invested to improve the existing infrastructure. So, normally, our goal of any colleges or any institution to bring out one knowledgeable or a complete person who are ready to join the industry. who is ready to get absorbed into industry. There are many top colleges or top university. Many companies go there for the campus recruitment. The reason is they get just ready-made student which can be molded into industry immediately. So our education system is not just a mere certificate holder. The person who is possessing a certificate is backed up by the knowledge, and not only knowledge, he has acquired some skill to be ready to be get absorbed into the industry, and he has got a right attitude. Uh, so, uh, so he can immediately fit into the work culture of the different companies. So there is a disadvantage in a digital education. The skill development and attitude development will be a challenge. He can acquire the knowledge by reading the books and so many things, but he cannot get the additional skills and attitude. And because he is not attached with the full-time colleges has got the campus, a football ground, library, and practical labs. So how we can replicate this physical college into virtual form? So we can have a same quality of knowledge, skills and attitude, and at the same time student interest and commitment to complete the course and come out as the same level what they are getting into the full-time education. So to make it to virtual education comparable with the full-time education, there are many things to be redesigned. First thing is to be redesigned is the curriculum design. What you're teaching in the college is mostly textbooks, and you are covering the syllabus based on the textbooks. And the professor is teaching with his experience, and he's preparing and is giving example on the board. But in a virtual education, there is the barrier of distance. The faculty cannot see the student. So the curriculum should be designed in a such a way, it should be modular. It should be subject-wise, there is a modular. And for example, it should be PowerPoint presentation in some module. One subject, there is the account, for example. So that is the module of account, and the PowerPoint should be covering more pictorial views. So a person sitting at a distance can quickly absorb, because there is a, when he is in a classroom, the professor can see him and can mold his teaching based on the interest level of the student. But in a virtual way, it's very quite challenging. And second thing, the online courses, it should be planned in a such a way, this modular curriculum get fitted into the requirement of the student. So it should enhance the knowledge as well as the skills and the attitude. And in the conventional college, we can assess the student with the taking a test. There will be unit test, monthly test, written exams, or 6 months or yearly exam. But in a virtual environment, taking assessment test will be again a challenge. Because when there is exam in a classroom, you can feel there is a vigilator and what exactly students are writing and whether they are copying or what they are doing, it can be immediately get noticed. But in a virtual environment, students are sitting in some different geographical location. So the assessment planning should not be based on just writing an answer. It should be comprehensive system, so that actual what exactly is learning and what is the learning process. And this process, we will see the 4 points. The process should be automated. So once it is designed, it is automatically work. The exam pattern or exam timings or exam questions or the way it is answering and evaluation, it should be instant. Once it's passive, doing the online exam, or immediately after the exam, then result will appear. And then in result, in which what answer is given the wrong and what should be the real answer, and there should be explanation for that. So it helps him learning and improving for the next test. And in online education, okay, we have already started online education, design the curriculum, assessment planning, and it is automated. But we should have a survey and analysis whether what you have already designed, it is really useful to the student, or we are getting any outcome. because we are investing so much money in the technologies and designing all this for entirely virtual education. There should be surveys and we should get the feedback to analyze to how to improve this and modify or uh, so it serves this purpose of objective as education, because our goal again I'm re-stressing that it should be comparable of what we are teaching in a full-time education. It's not just a part-time activity for just it is limited to the lockdown period. We are just switching to virtual education. Virtual education cannot be a part-time activity. It's in itself it's a full education management. So once we get the surveys and analysis, uh, the management of the institution is to make a vision mission. The vision mission should be of 3 years or 5 years, where we want to be. Because suppose somebody enrolling for some 2 years management program or a 3 years degree program, so things should keep on getting evolving, because technology is also getting evolving. 6 months back, there was the version 1 of, for example, Android. There was Android 6. Now there is an Android 10. So vision states there should be management should have vision statement, so that it keeps on improving the entire cycle from number one curriculum design, education, assessment planning, and take everything into account, and what exactly should be our ultimate goal. That should be the management has to have some vision statement. And the as a, in a full-time colleges or full-time institution, there is always connection between faculty and students' parents. So students' parent gives the right feedback to the faculty of exactly what is the progress of the student in terms of learning, whether he's really interested in learning or just unload just because of getting some certificate, or the parents have forced him to take up this course. So the faculty is the best person to get the stakeholder expectation. The largest stakeholder for the education industry is the student and the parents who are sponsoring the education. So faculty has to continuously get the feedback from the stakeholders. And now the biggest challenge is for the virtual education is approval from the accreditation board. For example, university, whether it's recognizing this virtual education or whether the industry is recognizing this particular course. For example, there is a or distance education, conventional distance education with Indira Gandhi Open University. They are offering distance degrees. But as an industry, there is a discrimination between full-time education and distance learning. So many board also they are not approving the virtual degree with compared to the full-time degree. So the virtual education design should be such that it should be comparable, so that boards and university and industry recognize that course. So whoever is enrolling for the virtual education get job comparable what their colleague with the full-time or friends who are doing the full-time education. So how we can design this virtual education to make it comparable with the full-time education? So virtual education, we understand it's a distance education. So there is a lot of difference between classroom instruction and online instruction. Because when faculty deliver the lecture in a sitting in the class, he can see who are the brilliant people, who are the last bencher. He can easily grasp the ability of student to learning in the terms of learning capacity. And because of that, when in a live classes, he can change his teaching methodology. Someday he can go slow, or he can use different examples which could be understood by all the people. It's a big barrier when the structure is in some remote location and learners are at a different geographical location. Then interaction and delivery method is to be very much different, and it should be customized. So when he's interacting with the student, to assess his learning will be very much different in a virtual environment. So getting a feel of the student is very challenging in virtual education. So the same teacher has to take a different tools that we will discuss further, so he can get full control of his education, what he is delivering and what students are receiving. So any education system, either you take a virtual education system or a full-time education system, our goal is to our goal is a student. Uh, why institutions are running? To make a student educated, to make him self-reliant, to make his career, so he can have a better life in the future. That is why students enroll for the any courses or degree courses or post graduation, because to make a better career and a better life for the country as well as his family. So unless the student is motivated to do the course, in India there is an example, there are almost 40% students are drop out after 10th standard. There are plenty of students that drop out after 12th standard, even after first year or second year, because they are not fully motivated. They are not understanding. The learning is not so fun and interesting for them. And to make them student, to make them self-learner, so he becomes a self-directed learner, and is adaptive to the technology. The learning should be a tailored learning. I'm just more focusing on the virtual education part. So on the part of the institutions or the colleges or schools and the teacher, they should be more adaptable for the technologies. And school should be focused, should be aware that what are the new technologies are coming up. In last slide, we had discussed about the vision statement. So school management should be more focused on what is the new upcoming things are coming, and they should be adaptive of all these technologies. And teacher also undergoing the faculty development program to adopt the new teaching method using various technologies. So which will help even teacher to be resource free, because technology will do most of his work. So virtual education demands more independent like the part of the student, because student when is enrolled for the full-time colleges, there is a control of the institution on the student movement. His attendance are marked, and there is a emotional or a physical relation, you can say personal relation with the faculties and institution principal, or even the supporting staff, administration staff. But in a virtual education, that emotional bonding and relation is a very challenging part. So in virtual education, it should be designed in such a way that students' interest, it can have a self-motivated to learn the things at his home or is at his native place. And at the same time, professor should also learn to engage more diverse group of learners. For example, in today's webinar, we have got learners from across the India. And suppose I'm doing this seminar only for this particular city. I know the geography or people's culture, so I can easily get connected with them. But if I have students from south or from northeast, it's very difficult for me to get engaged with them. So professor will also undergo some training to engage to more diverse group of learners. So we are going more into theory of how virtual education can be designed and how it should work. So in a virtual education, there is a two mode. One is a synchronous mode and one is a asynchronous mode. So synchronizing means what? The faculty and the learner are synchronized. The learning becomes synchronized. Both what faculty is teaching is understood by the learner. So that is the synchronized. Synchronization example we can give. There is the music. Suppose your goal is to create a beautiful song, and there are so many musicians. One is playing drums, one is playing flute, one is singing. But if they are not synchronized, the end product, the song will not come out, because all the music director job is to synchronize all the people who are there in the concert to have a complete product of a song. For the education, our complete product is a knowledge imparted to the learner. So in a synchronous mode, it's just like what we are doing right now. I'm talking to you via technical medium. So stimulator, I have a faculty, there is a stimulator, and there is a server. It is the server means is the internet. It is connecting your devices, and you are connected with me. So we are synchronized. What I'm talking, you are listening, and you are trying to understand. There is a doubt, you are raising the hands, and there is a question answer session after that. So it's a synchronized. We are connected when we are learning together. So the other mode is the asynchronous mode. Asynchronous mode is you record this webinar, and you can see this webinar, recorded webinar on YouTube, maybe on evening or on this Sunday at your own leisure time. So maybe right now there is maybe some technology problem, or there is a you are not getting my sound, or you're not catching up with the flow. But you can record this session and listen to this session at your night or after 3 days. So that is called asynchronous mode, where you're doing that at your particular independently. There is no direct instructor, or you don't have to log in at particular time, or the duration will be 2 hours or 3 hours, and you just scribble down the note. So asynchronous mode is you are just seeing the recording of this particular webinar at your own leisure time. So we will see in detail how synchronous mode and asynchronous mode will be the core for the virtual education. So synchronous learning, as we discussed, it's a live lecture. Last 3 months, all the students sitting at home because of lockdown, and the professor is sitting at his home. So it's a live lecture. He's covering some topics which are left out during his last academic year. So, but here there is a lot of barriers, because students sitting at home, his internet may not be working. He has got poor quality reception in his mobile. Many students may not be having internet connection at all at home, or some might be having some lunch, or there's a distraction at home. So the live lecture, okay, faculty has invited all the people to attend this live lecture on this particular time. So he cannot ensure that everybody is attending that. So the basic purpose of delivering lectures get defeated, because he is not able to convey what uh, student to cover up the syllabus. Just for the sake of covering the syllabus, he will complete the lecture, and many students may understand or may not understand. So our goal of learning will get defeated. So the synchronous learning, what learner or teacher is trying to teach the students, and what the student is learning should be synchronized, should be in aligned. And in a synchronous courses, it's not only faculty delivering the lecture. He has to combine this delivery of lecture with several other additional technological tools to get the wider range of learners. I give an example. The learning ability of different students is different. There are some brilliant students, there are some average students, and there are some poor students who cannot grasp the concept just seeing the lecture. So the professor should have a different, he is to use different additional technologies and tools, so that he can get connected with a diverse group of the students to have an objective learning, and get the best student during the synchronous learning. So this is one of the example. Right now we have a webinar So we call it a virtual classroom basically. So we have got the facility of live audio video support. You are seeing me and I can also talk to you. I can see you. I'm sharing my screen with you and other material with all the students. And there is right now we are not using the whiteboard, but if you see the physical classroom, there is a blackboard, and faculty is trying to write something on a blackboard to give some example, to explain the concept better. So in a technology, there is a whiteboard, and that whiteboard professor will give some draw some figures or give some examples of some mathematical solution. So that same whiteboard can be accessed by the student on his laptop or in his mobile. And again, same way, right now I can see there are so many people are raising their hand. So in a synchronous learning, people should have facility to raise their hand and for asking the queries. And this offline support, there also should be multi-level fallback mechanism. So I shall, after completing this webinar, I will be putting my phone number or email. So students can connect me at the later stage to verify the concept in a much better way. And there is a live chat support or technical support. We can assist the student how to get connected with the faculties. So we have seen in the lockdown time, and I got a feedback from the student whether they're enjoying this online lecture, so they are really understanding the online lecture. So almost they said it was not comfortable as what you are doing in a classroom because there is a physical barrier, and as we have discussed, there is no chemistry between a teacher and the student, and whether he cannot modify his example based on the ability of the present people who are attending the sitting in the class. So he has to add some additional tools. For example, audio conferencing. So the faculty has to identify based on the student behavior during the webinar what kind of questions they are asking. He can have select the particular group of students. For example, some brilliant students, they are into some advanced mode. There are some average students, there are some poor students. So he can have a separate audio conferencing, separate video conferencing, or web conferencing to address the need of this particular group of students. So there should be separate session for the different level of the student or for the different geographical situated people also. For example, we have got headquarter in Ahmedabad, Sardar Patel, for example, in Anand, and people are unrolling from South India, people are unrolling from the Eastern India or some abroad. So definitely the culture and the learning and the same English language will be spoken in a different way in South India or in Gujarat. So you can select a different group of people and have a different audio conferencing or video conferencing to clear their doubt in alignment with their understanding. And he can create the chat group. So he can, for example, WhatsApp group or a Facebook group. So where there are many students who are afraid to ask, but he can just anonymously can put the question. So the faculty can immediately answer that question without disclosing the identity of that particular student. The instant messaging, again, it comes into WhatsApp messaging. And whiteboarding, we already discussed. You can draw some figures, and whiteboarding is basically a technological whiteboard. So whatever is the design or written on the whiteboard can be downloaded by the student. And nowadays we are downloading so many applications on our mobile. For example, Amazon application or health application, or recently we have downloaded Arugya Setu. So the faculty can design one application based on the, for example, BCom first student. So BCom first student, there is an application particularly designed for the BCom first year, BCom second year. So all the information will be available on this application, and it is on the tips of the mobile, so student can immediately see. He can see the alert, and when the next, for example, the next session has been cancelled, so he can get an alarm on this application, or he can reschedule his attendance, or reschedule his timing for attending this particular course. So in a synchronous learning, the lecturer can just, apart from giving the online lectures, he can have an additional tool to get synchronized or get aligned with his varied audience. It's located at a different geographical location. There are many learners or many students. Basically, they are drop out from the education system because of their personal reason, or some of them fail to get admitted into good colleges, and then they leave the education system, do some short-term course, and join the some industries. And there are people who want to get promotions in their job to upskill them. They enroll for the online degrees or part-time education. So there is a different segment of the students which which normally university not basically serving this particular category of the student. Most of university or colleges, they are enrolling the conventional students, but for the unconventional student, for example, for one person is 40 years old and he has got a good, very good skills at some electrical engineering, but he don't have a formal degree. So this virtual education can be designed in a such a way, so he can be get online degree with this work experience, so he get a better promotion in his company. So for asynchronous learning, it is for the people who want to learn at his own space. You don't have time to attend the full-time colleges. For this kind of student, collaborative with the teacher is a bit of a challenging when compared to asynchronous education. So how we can design asynchronous education so that it gives almost 80 to 90% a feeling of getting a synchronous education. So in that, we have seen in a synchronous education, lecturers is giving live lectures. So as I had given the example, this same webinar, I am giving the live lecture. It can be recorded, it can be pre-recorded, or as you can see, it is on a PowerPoint with my voice. It is recorded, and you can, the student can see, refer that after 1 week or after 1 month, or maybe he is traveling in the bus and he can refer that. So these delivery methods allow students to review and re-review lessons if necessary. Because right now we are talking, and it's very difficult to grasp and remember everything what you discussed 5 minutes back. So you can re-review, and again you can rewind the lecture, understand that, and again take it forward. So that is comes into asynchronous learning. So this option could be quite useful for the student who cannot attend the scheduled class. Suppose your institution started virtual education. So, but he is a working professional. He cannot, even for distance learning, he cannot attend a particular webinar or particular lecture which is scheduled, even though it is online. He is sitting in the office, cannot able to attend the particular session. For example, you are offering 3 years degree program of BCom or BA in a virtual mode. So there is a vast syllabus, and every time it is not possible for students to attend that particular session. So you get a facility to see that recorded lecture during his normal time, or when he's going home, he can see that particular recorded video. The programs that deliver asynchronous is quite different than the synchronous method. So it's very heavily dependent on the technology because there is no control of institution on the particular student because he's learning, he decided to learn at his own space. So there are many students who would like to purchase 3 years or 2 years MBA course, and if the entire digital content he will purchase, and he will learn at his own pace and give exams as per the convenience. So to cater to that category of student, we have to use some additional technologies and tools. So it is comparable with synchronous education or even full-time education. So as I said, there should be storage place or some server or cloud where all the 3 years degree modules and for each and every subject, accounting, bookkeeping, or for example, management, so financial management. So all the modules are stored in a one place. So whenever is the student needs, he can download that and listen to that particular lecture. And he can see, refer that PowerPoint presentation also, or even he can download the PowerPoint presentation before the exams or before going for the interview. So he can refer the concept quickly. And for the asynchronous mode, since it is not full-time connected with the institution or faculty, still he should be equipped with what is going on in the industry. So he should be connected with some forum and discussion boards. So, for example, there is a you can connect with LinkedIn, or institution can create some Facebook page. So where important topics are posted, what is the current events is going on. Recently, how the lockdown has affected the GDP of the country, and what exactly is the GDP? Because when you are studying in the college or even the MBA, the real life things, it is very difficult to grasp. If you go to any financial college and ask the GDP, it's very difficult for, maybe from textbook he can explain, but in a real term, he cannot able to justify what he has learned. So forum and discussion, there are so many forums and discussion, Instagram discussion or Facebook or even a WhatsApp group. So the new things are posted to keep him updated. And another thing, important thing is the email distribution. So there are so many case studies, or for example, in a textbook, in a full-time colleges, instructor give some notes. He can make a notes, and that notes can be referred by that student to clear his concept for the exam preparation. So same email communication, all the PDF document can be regularly sent to the student. So he can get the notes and the recent developments and everything. So he can download that PDF document and can read that additional information. In a full-time college, for example, in a one subject, students are go to library and refer the different author's book to clear the same concept, because he may not be compatible with the one particular author. So this email communication will extract knowledge from the different authors and consolidate it, and it can be communicated email. And because it's a very huge digital content, and in a full-time college there are libraries, so student can go into library and can refer the books. But in a virtual education, it's not possible. So with the Google Drive and the cloud services available, all the ebooks can be stored on the Google Drive, so you can download an ebook and refer different topics. And we'll go more. There is one big challenge is in virtual education, how we can give the practicals, because without practicals, the education cannot be completed. Particularly in the science and engineering stream, practical is a must. Physics or chemistry or engineering or even medical student, without seeing the practical, he cannot have a real knowledge, because just reading by book, he cannot become an engineer. So we will see the virtual technologies which can help to add these practicals and demonstration in a virtual learning. So if you see, there are two categories of students as we discussed, who just want to just buy the digital content and you want to learn independently. But when as an institution or as a university, you are offering some quality course, which is, for example, somebody is doing MBA from Sardar Patel University full time, and somebody wants to enroll for the virtual degree, same MBA degree from Sardar Patel. So the level of both should be same because end certificate will be same. So the university should use a combination of synchronous and as well as asynchronous method. Because so yes, the student has to attend the live lectures, live presentation, live text chart, or instant messaging. So at the same time, he should be learning at his home on the asynchronous mode. So you can download the things. So it's a self-learning. It will bring interest. It will create interest for him, and he will be more equipped to understand the live lectures. And he is better equipped to ask questions, raise questions or doubt during the live seminar or the live lecture. So when the university is designing virtual education, it should be a combination of that. So now we have seen the virtual education. It's not just giving online lectures. There are so many elements are involved in that. So institution, before we also discussed the vision statement, management should have to have the virtual education comparable with the full-time education, because it involves the brand name of the particular colleges or particular universities. So somebody is doing online course from the Sardar Patel University, it should have a same level of the weightage and the respect what they are offering in the full-time colleges. So institutions should have some strategy to make online courses uh, more valuable and comparable with what they are offering in a full-time education. And in some cases, only delivery of the virtual is a notable difference. And the technology fundamentally changed only the learning experience. So there are so many experts globally. Uh, there is one Carnegie Mellon is one of the top management institute, and Illinois Online Network. They worked on virtual education strategy. So they listed down some key points which can be focused by the universities who in the future thinking of going into virtual education, offering as additional resources or to reach out to the different to split the education into different geographical location. In a global university, for example, Indian government is allowed global university like Cambridge or Harvard to set up their virtual campus in India. There are so many students from India traveling to Dubai and UAE for because Cambridge and has set up their campus in Dubai to because going to London for Cambridge University is very expensive. So many Indian students are going enrolling into Dubai Cambridge campus, but they have designed their institution in such a way they are getting the same level of education what they are getting in Cambridge, Dubai or Cambridge, London. So what is should be the first strategy? The first strategy should be the lecture. You cannot eliminate the lecturer or faculty because that is the connect between student and the institution. So lecture, as we discuss in a synchronous learning, so the lecture should be designed using all the tools that we have discussed during the synchronous learning. And the second strategy is a discussion. For the full-time students, there is opportunity to attend the college. And he is not only learning just the syllabus, he is making so many friends. He is getting involved with the other social events. He is meeting the office or even he is interacting with the watchmen of this particular institution. And that gives some learning to him. So discussion as we've seen, we have to create some discussion forum or audio conferencing or video conferencing or LinkedIn forum or like that, so that all the students and all the teachers, they can put give the different information into one place, which may not be the part of the syllabus, but which gives the additional information. So when people there will be debate, okay, GDP is going down, other people say no, GDP will improve. So the debate will create enhance the knowledge. So there should be a discussion form in electronic media. So we have, there is a big limitation for virtual education is the practicals. So without practicals in science colleges, engineering, medical, and some level even arts or commerce colleges, there has to be some practicals. Demonstration is a practical. You have to show, okay, you taught the engineering student how the motor works. But unless and until you see the physical motor, or you cannot see the physical machine, you cannot visualize what exactly the machine will work. For example, science student, unless and until you will see the real body and do the real practical, he cannot have a real picture of what he has learned in the book. So institution should have practicals in a virtual education, and how institution can arrange practicals. So there is a technology available. It is called virtual reality. So we'll come to that virtual reality, which will enhance and give the practicals. We can implant the practicals in this virtual education. In a very first slide, we have seen to make an outcome-based education, there are three components. One is the knowledge. So knowledge we are imparting with the lectures and giving demonstration, group chat, and uh, uh, email communication. But there is another component, it's called skill building. Skill building is to make this student adaptable for the industries. He should be ready. Once he got graduated, next day he is selected from the campus and selected into some company. So next day he should be familiar with how companies are working and how the company atmosphere, he has to interact with the people, how to handle his boss, how to handle his colleague. So there are so many stimulative softwares available. So in that software, uh, uh, he, uh, he becomes a case study. He acts as a, for example, he joined as uh, a bank employee. So the stimulative software will create the bank day-to-day life of a bank. He will be receiving customer. Suddenly, his boss will come and ask him to create the presentation of this year's year-ending statement. So he can realize what will be the work pressure in the real office. So this stimulative software, it will give. There are so many plenty of simulative softwares available. For example, engineering, he is learning for example, aircraft. So he cannot be taken directly to the aircraft, but there is a simulative softwares available, so you can see the real simulation, how how the real aeroplane or what are the safety measures to be taken during the actual flight. Uh, as we have in full-time colleges, we have sports days, we have annual days, there is the orchestra and people gathering. So there should be in a virtual education also, there should be some games. There are some weekly day offs only for the enjoyment. There are so many stimulative games available, which gives the education as well as the fun. There are few examples which are very easy to implement. Is, for example, Kaun Banega Karodpati games, and there will be debates, uh, just like in annual days of the particular college. There are some dramas or some events, or there is some song competition, and so that kind of activities should be imparted into virtual education to let the student get engaged with the course. So it's not just a boring learning. There is some entertainment portion is also involved in that. Even some games can be forwarded to game links can be forwarded to the student, so he can link forward, download the link and play the games. And the last part, which we have discussed in the very first slide, we have given him a knowledge, we have given him a skill, and we need to give him attitude. So to give the attitude comes when he is totally knowledgeable, which gives him confidence. So case studies. So normally we are teaching him from the textbooks, and there is a derived syllabus. So that syllabus it designed in such a way that it gives a complete holistic view of that particular subject. So case studies is the real life scenario. So for example, in today's scenario, some students are studying MBA. So colleges can give him case studies. What are the effects of lockdown and the restaurant industry? So, and ask him to use what he has learned during this different learning session to use that knowledge and make a report, a project report, how this future lockdown can be better arranged so that the restaurant business will not be affected. He gives the solution based on what he learned during his academic year. So it will give him attitude. As we've seen, I'm again focusing, we require outcome-based education in a virtual education, which is comparable with the full-time education. So with the synchronous and asynchronous method, we have given him knowledge, and with demonstration and stimulation software, we have given him a skill to become employable. And case studies making him, giving him attitude, so he can face the interview with the confidence, because he has seen the, he has not, while facing the interview, you don't have to refer the textbook. He has to answer the real life scenario and real life question. So in that case, case studies and project will be very helpful to you. So now we have discussed so many parameters: synchronous learning, asynchronous learning, institutional strategy. So it's getting very confusing how to implement it. We require a lot of manpower, a lot of faculties and committees, a lot of money, a lot of infrastructure to implement it. But a lot of new technologies made it very easier to implement entire synchronous learning, asynchronous learning, objective-based learning into single software. So learning management system is a ready-made software which once installed in your institute, which takes care of from admission till certification. In the learning management, all the learning modules are already preloaded. It will schedule the lectures and will inform to the student, okay, lectures are scheduled at this time. It will have a data bank of all the students' enrollment, his details, and his exam details. And this learning management system is a hacking proof. So the problem of a conventional university, there is a fake examination or fake student. So this learning management system will eliminate that risk of having some fake students or fake identity, because it will store everything data in a digital form, and it may be linked with Aadhaar or identity thing, and it will have all the documentation. It will contain the library. It will have all the whatever we have discussed, the synchronous and asynchronous tools. It can have all these tools at a single place. So learning management system, it will help the institution to easily implement this virtual education in line with what they are offering in a full-time education. So learning management is a software. It's not any kind of expert will come to you and solve all problems. But there are so many advantages of using a software. It will increase the efficiency. Recently, due to lockdown, all the colleges are going for online admission. So if you have a very good learning management system, online education can be managed very beautifully, because there are so many students putting their mark sheets, and there may be some students from different states. So managing at a real location or it's very difficult, especially during the social distancing time. So it will increase the efficiency and it will eliminate the downtime because it's a software. So it will work 24/7. So there is no office hour for that. And it also gives the flexibility to scheduling the calendars when the training will be scheduled, and it's easy to communicate with the student. And this will also improve the student retention, because learning for student all is in it is in his mobile, so you can see what is the development with the courses, uh, or even the study material or communication, everything in on his mobile. So it will student will remain connected with the courses. So student retention will be improved. And the biggest advantage is to reduce the travel cost. The student don't have to travel to the institution to inquire everything and collect his certificate or collect his correction, his mark sheet. So it will definitely reduce the cost for the student. And definitely because of traveling time and everything is available on his mobile, it will boost the student's productivity. He has got a more time for learning rather than traveling in the bus and reaching the colleges. But all the software, it is designed to help the human to increase the efficiency, but the software has got some limitation also. A learning management system cannot create content for you. It cannot create the curriculum or create PowerPoint or what faculty is trying to teach to the student. If faculty can create the content and upload into the learning management system. So learning management, there are many learning management systems which can aid in preparing the PPT or put some graphics, but in itself, it cannot create the content. So we need a faculty to create the content. And second point is, so because of first point, it cannot eliminate the need of instructor. It can learning management will not take over the faculty and start giving the education. So learning management system will definitely aid the faculty to connect with the student, but faculty is required. And again, software cannot give the strategy for your particular institution. Suppose now university decide, okay, we want to go for virtual education. So the strategy, first university has to decide the strategy, which market they want to penetrate, what are the features they want to add into virtual education. So only they can take a support from learning management system to implement that. So in a market, there are so many ready-made learning management systems which institution can adopt for their own need. So they can customize as per their own need. So there are many professional learning management systems available like Adobe or SAP Litmus system. So you can refer their website and see the different feature on that. And you can have a customization as per your colleges or university needs. So now we discuss regarding stimulation for the engineering, medical, or even connecting different people in different geographical location. Futurist technology or virtual classroom, it is getting popular. Virtual classroom is not only for the virtual education or full part-time education or distance education. Virtual education can be used in a full-time colleges also to enhance the learning ability of the students. So what exactly is a virtual reality? So virtual reality is not a new thing. So for so many years, we are playing video games in our mobile, or we go to mall and we insert coin and we drive the bike in competition, we drive the car. So virtual reality creates the imaginary program, 3D program. So you feel that you are really driving on the road by playing the game. Once your coin damage is over, your game is over. Or you're firing or sitting in the plane. So it's a virtual reality. Earlier use was only for the gaming purpose. So, what virtual reality, apart from gaming, it started getting used in the education field. There are so many stimulation or language learning. There are many games are created which give the stimulation. For example, medical students. Uh, Suppose you want to explain the internal process of the heart, so it is not possible to cut the human body showing the heart. So earlier we used to show him the pictures of photograph, but now there are so many games are created in that the heart you can show him physically, you can revolve it to 360 degrees and show the simulation. There is another advanced technology apart from virtual reality, the augmented reality. So it is still under development stage. So augmented reality is a virtual reality imposed in a real life, place. For example, now I am sitting in Ahmedabad giving you the webinar. Once you have a augmented reality, you will feel that I'm sitting in front of you and giving you the lecture. Again, we have seen many in last 3 months. There were so many serials like a Mahabharata. So there is a Mahabharata war. The warrior calls for Brahmastra. So suddenly things will appear on his head. So if something appears that some weapon is augmented reality. It is appearing in the actual battlefield. So the augmented reality is virtual reality created at the real location. So it is still it's under very initial stage, but you will with so many technological advancement in a year two, you can be having your lecturer. The student will feel that is in front of him and teaching him, explaining him the lectures. The immersive virtual reality, it uses head glass, and once you uses the headgear, you're sitting at home, but the program is running in such a way that you're sitting in a Paris, or you're walking in the streets of the Dubai. So we are, as I told you, there is a headgear, and in the headgear, it is a there is some software and hardware is designed in such a way that you get the imagination, or you feel that you're walking, or you're flying with the Spider-Man from building to building, and you get the real emotional feeling. Oh, really? You're in the top of building, you will get fell down. So it gives you get immersed in that virtual reality. So in a virtual reality, now you got the head here, and you feel like you're visiting a zoo, and you're walking into zoo. You're feeding the animals, so you get the real. You feel that, oh, it's a real animal. You're touching to the real animal, but it's all imaginary. But once you put the headgear, you can see that uh, your there are many, for example, art student. You want to take him to. It's not always possible to take him to the archaeological site, but once you create the program, if the same student put the headgear, and he feels that emotionally or with the headgear, he will really feel that he's walking at a particular archaeology site, or he's traveling into the life sanctuary, and suddenly the lion is getting appeared in front of him, and he's getting shock of that. In a same way, for example, engineering student, so he can have a headgear, and he can see enter into the machine. He can repair the. He feels that he's repairing the machine. He's touching the buttons. And for example, medical students, he get the feeling that the medical student getting feeling that, okay, he's seeing the heart. Recently, there are many operations are taking place, and the doctor is sitting in USA, and he's operating some patient in India with the virtual communication. So this virtual reality is, becomes very important for the medical science, engineering, and definitely for the commerce and arts colleges. So you can derive the different program for your particular students. To see how this virtual reality uh, looks like, I will going to show you one video. Just give me 1 minute. I will just setting one video.
Vredo, the virtual reality education platform designed to conquer learning challenges and change the way we look at classrooms. Vredo has all the convenience of a real classroom. There's a whiteboard, a projector screen, you can change student seats, talk to them individually or as a group. But Vredo also allows us to change the way we teach. We can project 3D holograms into the classroom and even teleport the entire class to exotic locations using 360 video, redefining the meaning of school excursions. Vredo is designed for any organisation that conducts training, from primary schools to universities, tutoring services and corporate training environments. With an online learning management system, Vredo is fully customisable. Upload 3D holograms, 360 videos and photos, PowerPoint presentations, 2D video and 2D images. Students can also access the learning management system, where they can download screenshots, audio notes and class recordings from their classes. Students can be spread across the country, multiple organisations or even the world, brought together without any travel costs or inconvenience. For both teachers and students, Vredo is a game changer. Think an ancient history class teleporting to Machu Picchu, a global engineering firm coming together for a professional development session, or students from all around the world joining in for a French lesson. The list goes on.
It's a lot less distracting, and as I like business, it's very interesting. The virtuality, it's new, it's different, it's fun. I like it. I definitely recommend it.
Applications of Vredo are limitless. If your institute prides itself on innovation or aspires to be the best, contact our team via our website.
Okay, now, Dharmendra sir, now you are Done with your session?
Yeah, so now with this, I've done that.
Uh, Now we'll have question and answer session. If you have any question, you can write it down in the question and answer toolbox. I received one question from Mohammad Nizam Maidin. He's asking that if we adopt these technologies, what about the employment opportunities of our next generation? Dharmendra sir.
Yeah, it's very good question. Uh, Whenever we talk about new technologies, people will get afraid of losing jobs and everything. But it will create more jobs because it is going to increase the revenue. Because adopting this new technology uh, will reach out to the vast customer segment. So right now, for example, you go to colleges, uh, first year BCom, you are enrolling only 200 students. But if you implement this virtual education system, you can cater to the thousands of students sitting in a different location. So definitely it's going to generate more employment opportunity for the teaching staff as well as the supporting staff. So I think adopting this, it will definitely help, is going to help. And it is definitely going to help even student community. So it will contribute more towards self-reliant India we are talking recently.
I hope you will get the answer. So at the end of the session, I'll put a feedback link because I received a number of messages in the chat box that where is the feedback link. So I'll put in the chat box as well. So not to worry about that. So very simple way and in a lucid way, Jani sir has clearly explained the technical aspects of virtual reality, and he covers synchronous, asynchronous learning, how as a faculty we can implement, because now it's a need of an hour in this current situation wherein every teacher or every faculty has to be ready for the online education, and at the same way the institution also have to combine with their physical courses as well as their online courses. So in a very simple way, the technical aspects are covered by Jani sir. So I must congratulate Jani sir for explaining these technical aspects in a very simple manner. So at the end, I'll be feeling if I'm not proposing the vote of thanks or not extending my gratitude to the number of persons and the agencies. So I'm proposing the vote of thanks, starting with I must thank our honorable Vice Chancellor Sardar Patel University, Professor Shirish Kulkarni sir, who remained us always inspirational for conducting such kind of online education program. Next, I must thank Dr. Jyoti Pen, who is in charge registrar of Sardar Patel University, for permitting us for organizing this seminar. I'll be failing if I don't propose his name. That is what our beloved Dr. Sandeep Bhatt sir, the head and lead of Sardar Patel University, who always remained supportive and never say no attitude kind of the approach he always given to us for organizing any sorts of the online education program or any academic program. He never said no and always remained supportive for such kind of program. So I must thank Sandeep sir wholeheartedly for organizing this seminar. Then Mr. Vishal Gada and Tanush Bodar from the Financial Planning Academy, who provided this platform or the technical support for this wonderful webinar, and Mr. Dharmendra Jani, who is today's speaker, very lucidly and in a simple manner explaining the entire technical aspects of virtual education or learning management system to our participants. And lastly, without them, this webinar could not be possible. My lovely participants from across the globe who remained with us for this webinar. I must congratulate them as well as I must extend my wholehearted gratitude to all the participants for remaining with us for this webinar. And one more webinar we are going to organize on 22nd. So I again hope that you remained with us on 22nd June at 4 p.m. on financial planning post COVID Corona. That is what the topic on which we are going to organize the webinar. So once again, I thank everyone, and I'm putting the feedback link on the chat box. So this is the feedback link. After filling that feedback link, you will receive your e-certificates. I hope everyone must have enjoyed the entire webinar.
Ankur sir, there are few more questions.
Yeah. There are few more questions. Yeah. So again, we'll start with those questions. One question I'm just reading out that because of such kind of technology, is it possible to lose the real world, which increase stress level as they are not able to connect the people as before?
It's a very interesting question. But when if you compare, you go to movie, so movie is giving some different virtual experience. There is a villain, there is a different kind of a story, and ultimately, during the movie you are getting stressed, but end of the movie, or for example, horror movie, it gives a lot of stress and fear. But once you finish the movie, it becomes very enjoyable. So once you get adapted to learning with the virtual technology, it will definitely becomes enjoyable experience, because the learning what it is remembered in the subconscious mind for many years. That whatever visual thing you have seen, it will have a more retaining memories.
Mr. Kabir is asking about what should be the solution to provide practicals of accounts.
So I've discussed regarding that stimulated softwares are available. So it gives the stimulation of a real accounting, or how the auditing is to be done in a real scenario. So there are softwares are available. So we give the stimulation, because the accounting and everything, mostly it is taught in a classroom or with some case studies. But there are additional softwares available which can create the stimulation. Because during the this institutional strategy, I separately mentioned about stimulative software, which can be used by arts or even commerce students.
A very interesting question asked by Dr. Kamini Shah. What about willingness to invest in necessary infrastructure on the part of people at the helm of affairs?
The willingness, basically, see, for doing that, you have to convince the management there is a lot of revenue opportunities. Because if you have a physical institution and you have got a fixed cost, and there will be variable cost every year, you have to increase the salary of faculties and the supporting staff. You have to maintain the building. But once you invest, with compared to that, your customer, the students are limited, and there is a limitation of the increase fees you can increase. But once you have a virtual education in a place, it can generate revenue for the lifetime, and if you can keep on adding the courses to meet the requirement of vast student segment. Even you can invite the corporate to take a facility of using your online courses. It will definitely generate a lot of money, so which can be used to implement your conventional infrastructure, or to improve the conventional infrastructure, and to improve the quality of your existing college. Well, it's a good revenue opportunity for all the institutions, because virtual education is a low, fees will be low, so more students will get enrolled, because you are giving virtual, and there is only one-time cost and there is a maintenance cost, but it's comparatively the students segment you are connecting the vast number of customers, the revenue will be very high. So if you go for this virtual education strategy, your colleges will be very profitable. You may not be remain dependent on a government grant.
And so last question from Dr. H. Chandra. What are the important challenges in the process of adopting and implementing these new technologies in the educational institutions in semi-urban and rural areas?
So it's a very good question because uh, if you see this virtual education, it should be looked at as a project. And if you looked it as a project, there should be a project manager. So project manager is a person who is a single point of authority to connect all the stakeholders. The stakeholders may be your university management who are sponsoring the project. There are faculty. There are so many faculties who are not ready to adopt the new technology. अभी सब ठीक ही चल रहा है ना, क्यों चाहिए नया टेक्नोलॉजी? So you have to convince this existing faculties to change this thought process to adopt the new technology world and get the statutory approval from the government. So it requires basically single point of initiative from the program manager who will connect all the jigsaw and give the complete project report to the management who are willing to invest in that. And then once some prestigious university taking the initiative, it will definitely can be replicated for the lower towns or even smaller geographical locations or remote locations also. Because the initiative should be from some larger players or some reputed players. So which can be easily replicated by the smaller institution.
So a few more questions. Mitali Ben Dokia is asking, is it fruitful for Indian student? The same technology, is it fruitful for Indian students?
Generally, our experience is that Indian people are very fast to adapt to the technology. Some 5 years back, there was no smartphone, and now even the small child know how to configure or do the setting on the smartphone. So Indian people are very fast to adopt the technology, and even the technology are becomes more and more user friendly. So for example, Android operating system is very complicated, but all the even we have got 10 crore mobiles. Anyone illiterate people are able to use that mobile, even doing the online purchases. So the innovation done by the application or the software people is so beautiful. So it's very easy to adopt to the technology. So today I have discussed the concept, but it's very easy to implement that concept and get it adopted.
And so, a comment I think we received regarding your answer from Beena Brahman. So you take example of movie, but it is short time effect of it. But every day, if it become routine to see imaginary world at some extent, is possible to lose connection of real world?
It's a very interesting question and a very philosophical question. There are learning. There are few things are challenging. For example, you have engineering college, and you have to give the practicals. It's very expensive to buy machine to just to demonstrate to the students. The institution has to allocate lot of space and buy lot of because the machines, for example, it is changing. 30 years machine was different, today's machines are different. So in universities to keep on investing for the new machines to give the fulfillment to the students. So it's practically it's impossible to buy new machine and demonstrate to the student. So here the virtual reality software which you can immediately, now there is a new machine in the industry, you can immediately change that program and you can demonstrate that machine to the particular student. I will just give you the example why we consider person got engineering degree in US is better than compared to Indian student. Because in India, once the institution is set up, we are seeing the same practical material. When I visited my last college, And when I was studying in that college. I'm basically an engineer. Same kind of machines are still it is there in the place. So I'm not getting the real technological what is happening in the real world. So this imaginary, what you really call it imaginary, but this imaginary is required to get adopted to what is happening in the world. It is not going to disconnect us from the real world. It will bring more to the real world with a very low cost.
Okay, thank you, Jani sir, and thank you all the participants. Because now it becomes or it will become a new normal for our education system that adopting online education or virtual reality education or learning management system. Now it will become a new normal to our education system, and time will be there in future that whether it become or it remained or not. Okay, so with this we are signing off from this webinar. Thank you once again, all the participants and all the organizing committee members. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Amin. Thank you, all the participants.